can be done to keep bad science at bay? All too often it's left to the little people. Austin Tasseltine reports.
The little people really don't come much littler than this. They're called Gafafwisp, and they've launched this campaign against the global evil of heavy electricity.
Hello, I'm Richard Bryars. I want to tell you about Gafafwisp and heavy electricity. Gafafwisp is the global consortium for a first world initiative on scientific practice. Self-explanatory, really. Heavy electricity, now that's a bit trickier. It's caused by particle accelerators sending huge jolts of power into domestic power lines. These knock the electricity back into its wild state, which is much heavier due to flattened electrons. The devastating result is that huge masses of heavy electricity start randomly falling out of wires and crashing onto anything below. This gives you some idea. Basically, it's like being hit by a ton of invisible lead soup. In the Sri Lankan village of Upaveli, inhabitants are suffering heavy electricity attacks even as I speak. Can we stand around and eat pies while they're being flattened like flies, swatted by the tail of a mad, invisible horse? Of course not. You, me, and Gafafwisp must contact the Sri Lankan embassy now and let them know just how shoddy this all is. If you're in any doubt, just shut your eyes and imagine a child you know being hit on the head by a ton of invisible lead soup.
What's invisible lead soup?
Non-scientific contributors were sure to check all the facts
Wobbly matter, is that what they call it?
before ramming home the dreadful urgency.
Heavy electricity is regularly flattening cattle in Sri Lanka. Afterwards, the poor beasts look like giant fur-covered slugs thrashing about on their backs and made of what scientists call wobbly matter. I won't go into it here, but basically it's caused by sodomized electrons which rush to the cow's head end. Now, just apply that to a young girl human. Well, it's an appalling thought, isn't it? Geeta is 15 years old, and now because of heavy electricity, she's only 8 inches tall. Now, just imagine that. She can't speak, but she must feel quite dreadful. 15 years old, and only, what, this tall.
Sometimes pure physical aggression was the only way.
Let me show you what's going on. Here is Upaveli, villages and animals, many small children. Think how soft they are. No exoskeleton, no horny old skin like the village elders. And here is the particle accelerator, firing out huge, irresponsible jolts of power. The heavy electricity can wreak its ghastly havoc at any minute. Raining down tons of invisible lead soup, but lead soup that can bounce destructively around like a hellish Powerball. So, more accurately, it's a cross between a ton of lead soup and a Powerball, smashing animals, for example. Smashing people. That could be your mother. All because these bloody idiots aren't doing their job properly. So what's to be done? Write to the Sri Lankan embassy, expressing your acute displeasure. Ask them how they'd feel having their brain mashed by invisible lead soup. All you have to do is just take a pen and sign it. Yours sincerely, Stephen Burkoff.
Explaining the problem is one thing. Knowing what to do is quite another. Luckily, Gafafwisp had expert advice.
Richard Branson has sent out these plugs with his beaming face on them that are being used locally, which can help to a degree. And there's a man with this very huge hammer who's banging away on the pipes, trying to relieve some of the pressure going out on the grid.
It's called percussive counter-induction, and he's already held back a massive wall of heavy electricity for about an hour, allowing some children and 6 pigs to escape. You could do that, for God's sake. The squash people of Upaveli are more important than the inconvenience of you banging a hammer for a couple of days over in Sri Lanka.
Public broadcasts always help.
We're doing this very special video about heavy electricity.
And with backing from shock jock Caesar the Geezer, failure for Gafafwisp looked absolutely impossible.
Hello, my name is Caesar. The sad truth about heavy electricity is that people in power and in government are too afraid to rock the boat when it comes to helping people and helping certain situations. I say to that, bollocks. It's about time somebody got off their fat arse and did something about it. Do you know, they actually say to me that there is no such thing as heavy electricity, that electricity couldn't possibly fall out of wires. What a load of old crap. And what is even more annoying is that they say that Gafafwisp is a made-up name. It's a fabulous organisation. Do you realise that if heavy electricity falls from these headphones, not only would it blow my head off, but it would cut me completely in half? If a caller calls me on my show, and then suddenly they're on the phone 1 minute and then they're affected by heavy electricity, they could be blown 100 feet away. That is the dangers of heavy electricity. If you are a member of Parliament or somebody in a powerful organisation and you're listening to me right now, let me say this to you. I have a lot of television shows, a lot of radio shows, and a big audience. Do something about it. Otherwise, I'll do something about it.
Sadly, Gafafwisp has yet to receive a single reply from the Sri Lankan embassy.